Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Wing, and I'm the host of the podcast, The Leader Within. Today, I'm so excited to join Andrea Adams in this collab as we talk about what the heck that we've been able to learn about and grow through in 2024. Understanding that as a content creator, being consistent and actually managing life on top of it is freaking hard. So, Andrea, I'm excited to hear about what insights you've gained, what you've had to overcome, and then chat through it. So, okay, what was like one of the biggest learning lessons or hardest lessons you've had to learn in 2024?
You were talking there in the beginning and about how hard it is to be a content creator. And I wouldn't say in my creation journey that 2024 was the hardest year I've ever had, because it's way harder earlier when you're churning out all this great conversation and content and nobody's tuning in. That's hard. So I'm kind of past that stage now. But I would say that the hardest thing for being a content creator in general is just, keep on doing it over and over and over, even though it doesn't seem like it's getting much of a receptive audience. That's painful. So what I will say about all of that is you have to love it. You probably also have to wrestle with how you define success when you're doing this, because early on, success isn't how many subscribers you have. That's for sure. Or none of us are. Who does my daughter like? She likes the biggest YouTuber out there. What's his name?
Mr. B?
Yes. Okay. Sorry. She loves Mr. Beast. And you know what? We are Mr. Beast. What about you, though?
Okay, first of all, the call out on not letting the numbers just mind F you, especially from a subscriber count. I am in that stage right now, right?
Yeah.
Because no matter what platform, sometimes the algorithm and the numbers aren't in my favor that day. And that really great call out about we're not Mr. Beast, especially I think as a podcast where you don't have a pre-existing brand like a Joe Rogan, right? Who
Yeah.
has had that on the street cred before he started that podcast. So to not let that discourage me is something that I keep in mind. And it's individuals like you who keep me going, in the sense that, like, looking at the trajectory of your growth over the last couple of years, you did not give up. You're at over 5,000 subscribers.
I'm almost at 8 now.
Okay, that's a freaking big deal. Okay, I apologize because I was like, I remember like 7 something, so I'm like, I'm gonna like say a little bit lower. So
Just in case. Yeah, I know. But I'm creeping up on 8. I was hoping to make it by the end of the year, but I didn't. Oh, well, there's that dive in metrics around Christmas and sometimes over the summer, and especially early on, it's crushing. It makes
Yeah.
you, it almost makes you want to give up. And certainly along the way, I mean, I have thought about giving up because you got to figure out what's in it for you.
Yeah. And were there glimmers of hopes where you're like, just when you're like dancing with a thought of giving up, and then just social proof comes up or an opportunity comes up and you're like, or even feedback that magically comes out of but F nowhere. And you're just like, okay, where were you this whole entire time when I was contemplating whether or not this is something that works? Like, what was that like for you?
Sometimes a while back, some guy wrote on, I think he wrote on one of my episodes, or maybe he just sent it to me as a note on LinkedIn, saying he's doing his MBA at an Ivy League school in HR because of my podcast. That was pretty amazing. You know what, frankly, I don't think amazing things happened when I needed it, but I just persevered and 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 still persevere. I don't know what I'm aiming for exactly. I really enjoy the process.
I appreciate that realness because I'm opposite from you, where I didn't come into this journey appreciating the process of life or anything at all. I'm like, take me to the end result and
Oh,
I will enjoy that. And if you have that attitude here, or even I do jujitsu as well, like you're
mhm.
gonna be on a freaking miserable journey, right? So I totally appreciate that. And I'm like, you can plan everything out in the world as well, right? To be like, this is my plan on how I approach this journey, etc. But then I've learned, I don't know about you, but to be open and stay like expect the unexpected essentially, right?
And the unexpected in creating content and trying to create a brand in HR is a little bit it's a very long process. It's a very long process. Yeah, but it's, I mean, the conversations, and I think we'll talk about that, like the things we have the privilege of learning through all these conversations with these people. And you out there, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, could also learn if you followed either of or both of our podcasts. Have been amazing. Yeah, I love it.
And how do you stay fresh with some of these guests and topics so that you're not like, it feels like the same shit over and over and over again, especially since you've published
200
over.
and something, a lot. I don't even know. A lot.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So how do you stay fresh and engaged in that sense then?
Curiosity.
Mm.
Like there's always something about everyone to be curious about. It doesn't matter. Like and there's only like a small fraction of the recordings that I ever do that are not like where I'm not totally into what they're saying.
Mhm.
Because I think a core belief for me is that everybody has something interesting about them. It's just my job as an interviewer to find out what that is and bring it out. And I have a good idea beforehand where I'm going, but you never really know until the conversation happens. So I think for me, just I stay fresh now through curiosity. Maybe I could change up my format a lot, but even changing up your format, I don't know if you find this, but changing up your format takes a lot of work. Like it takes a lot of, mental work to, okay, how I'm going to change it up. And so that, and you've got to like do that work on top of all of the other things you're doing in your life, right? Like I'm actually like, jeepers, my paint color is boring. I am actually thinking of painting this room, but I don't know if I will or won't because it's kind of time consuming.
Hey, I can appreciate that feeling because I have a blaring window behind me and a printer just on the table there. So,
Are you at work doing this?
no, I'm at home.
Oh, you are at home.
Yeah, I am at home. I'm such a minimalist, and it took me forever to even figure out what do I want in my background. Like, do I want a bookshelf? Do I want my martial arts stuff? Because like martial arts is a huge part of my life, and I'm like, you know what? I'll go with martial arts for now, and then eventually maybe I'll figure out a backdrop, so then I don't have to figure out how to angle my camera and everything. That in itself is a process, right? You're paying attention to
Yes.
lighting and all that,
Yes.
and I don't think people figure that out. But that's why I'm like, that's one of the hills that I'm not willing to die on right now.
So moving on a little bit though, you published 15 episodes in 2024? Something like that?
I think something like that. Yeah, I moved from a weekly cadence to a biweekly cadence, so it definitely dropped at some point. But yeah,
Mm-hmm. So, and I see you having, like on LinkedIn, I see you having a lot of rich conversations. What would you say were the top 3 insights or themes that you took away from all the interviews that you did?
I would say because a lot of the people that I chat with are either leaders or individuals that partner with leaders. The
Uh-huh.
top 3 insights that I gained is related to pausing, curiosity, and critical thinking.
Mm.
And to provide a little bit of context around pausing is because with the amount of change that each of us have to deal with, whether it's in our personal lives or in the corporate life or in your business, everything is moving so fast because of the rate in which technology and everything is evolving, right? So to be able to have space, whether it's you create it for yourself or you create
Uh-huh.
it for others, to just pause and think through things critically and
Mhm.
not just go with emotions of life will create a more impactful and a rich experience when you're interacting with others, right?
Mhm.
Curiosity is related to, again, with the rate in which everything is changing. If you aren't staying curious, you're going to fall behind, unfortunately. Right. And that's like, I think like a sad bit, and it's up to you if you want to
Oh
stay where
yeah.
you're at, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the last
And
bit is critical thinking, right? Don't take things at face value because if we look at even the way that sometimes information is put out, if we just take it at face value and we don't dig and we don't seek to understand, that's the part I think where people are intimidated by how AI will move in line with whether it's their work or whatever it may be, because they think that AI could control them, right? When in all actuality, it's the human and technology can go hand in hand to actually enable the strengths of each. So, yeah, I'm curious about like the top 3 insights you gained in 2024.
so my channel's quite HR focused. Uh, and so I'll talk with subject matter experts in any aspect of HR. Sometimes they're leaders, sometimes they're not. Talk with a lot of consultants, consulting on anything related to HR. This year, I did try something different, and I did a panel discussion on DEI. I think the sense is out there that something is happening to DEI, and for people who are passionate about it, it is not a good thing. But I think we do need to look at how we've been doing DEI, and this was a message that came out um, in the panel discussion that it's become too, or it had become too, I'm going to use this word, I don't want to use it, but I am going to, woke, or too woke. It's performative where we're just trying, so hard to be seen to be doing the right thing, but not, are we, are our intentions aligned there? The other thing that one of the panelists was discussing was just how much we police language. I get that sometimes policing language is worthwhile, especially when the language still has meaning today. But if we're talking about, words, then their historical origins 150 years ago, and nobody had any clue about the historical origins of this word, but now we have to police that. That's not productive. It's going to make people that we want on our side, that are on, quote unquote, our side, the kind of cringe. We don't want that. So I think we need to find a better way of doing DEI. And that was just a revelation that for me, it's been evolving, but it really happened in 2024, and especially in that panel discussion. Another revelation, and it's an HR revelation, is that all roads lead from culture. And so working on how to understanding how to manage and change culture is so important. I was talking to someone recently. Actually, I think this was your recommendation, Dr. Kevin Sansbury. He, so fantastic. Thank you for that recommendation. He was talking about how that culture is a source of toxicity. And so that resonated. And then I have been talking to Israel Peck, who I've known for a while, but had never had on the show. And he has a really unique way of changing culture that I think can actually work. So I do see some glimmers on the horizon of how we can meaningfully shape the cultures we want, as long as our employees buy in. So that was another theme. And just along those AI lines, another quick one is L&D and workforce planning related to AI. Our workforces are going to be changing, and in HR, we need to be envisioning that change, planning for that change, preparing for that change. It's almost an ethical duty. I kind of see it that way anyway. So that, it's an ethical duty towards the people that are in our organizations, but it's also a duty to the organization itself, so that we're not like loads of talent going out the door because they didn't evolve in time. We can do something about that. So that's been another thing I've been thinking about and will continue thinking about in 2025.
I appreciate those call outs and even appreciate the guests that you've recommended over to my podcast as well. It's funny because sometimes I'll pay attention to yours and I'll be like, I think that individual would be a great guest. So I appreciate the source of inspo and even that ethical duty piece that you were mentioning. I remember I had an executive say, like, a few years ago, change management was a nice to have if you're a leader.
Mhm,
Now it's a must have. And I believe that that is the same or similar sentiment for HR
mhm,
professionals, right? If we are supposed to be the individual slash team within an organization to enable the people and the people side of things to help move a business objective forward,
mhm.
we got to play a key role in change management, right?
Yeah. So, any more thoughts on what we learned in 2024? What did you think about the DEI thing and the comments I was making on DEI? Because I know you're passionate about that too. And for the record, DEI is not going away because unfairness hasn't gone away. It may come back in a different form.
You're speaking of a female visible minority here. So like, I definitely don't want DEI to go away in terms of the unfairness aspect, but I also think of it as a very macro level in a sense that I think diversity in itself is just going to be a default in most environments, right? Like
Mm,
lived experiences, not just how I look, my gender,
mhm,
who I identify as or how I identify as, but it's literally like you and I can both be from Calgary and have completely different lived experience. That is diversity. So it's like, how do you leverage the strengths within the diversity of your workforce to actually make shit happen, right? Like, is what I
mhm.
think about when I think about
Yeah.
DEI. And then it's also that checking the biases. It's like, well, why, if I have a company, right? I love the eye roll for those who might tune into the audio version. It's like, well, why are we doing the same thing over again? How come we haven't considered this? What could it look like? Like having those curious conversations,
Mm,
no matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, etc., I think allows you to continue conversations and move the needles in a way that otherwise you wouldn't be able to if you have a woke culture, right? I'm curious like
mm.
what your thoughts are on just some of the things that I shared there.
The bias thing just makes me laugh because it just seeps into everything where we are biased in favor of one course of action versus another. Like bias is so foundational to how we survive as humans that it just makes me smile. I did a really awesome episode about civility and incivility in the workplace. And she talks about a spectrum of civility and incivility, but it's all around bias.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out because I think that's an important like an important exercise to have, right? It's just like just real talk, like just take a look at what's going on and it's okay if you're at a certain place.
Yeah,
What are you going to do about it, right? What do
right?
you want to do about it?
Yep.
Because similar to all the DEI work, it's like if you don't give a shit about certain areas, don't do it because your people can feel it, your customers can feel it, and the public can feel it, right? And I think that's where it goes sideways if you're doing it for
Yeah.
show.
I don't want to give them a get out of jail free card either, though. Like, I want to hold their feet to the fire. Just not, I don't like the performative part of it, but I do want them to be thinking about it. So maybe that's just part of the journey that they're on. And hopefully, yeah, they get it. Their journey continues in a direction that I approve of. Yet, it's a bit tongue in cheek because I definitely have values here, but I do want to see those people continue to think about it and continue to have experience and reflect. Okay, to keep our conversation moving though, did you have any amazing episodes that are related to any of our discussion here today?
Okay, I don't want to call out one
I know
specific
it's
only.
hard. It's
Yeah, because they're
hard.
all so
That's
great.
why
Like
I'm saying related.
all the episodes now feel almost like a blur, but I would say probably one is with Kamalesh Lardy. So she's actually out in Europe, right? And we
Oh.
talked a lot about how they're actually going to be, unfortunately, bias further embedded in technology that comes out that potentially could be life-changing because we don't have diversity during that product development phase. And also when we are taking a look at, okay, who is actually developing the governance? Who's actually auditing some of this stuff, right? So when she mentioned that, especially as a female visible minority, having a practice in Europe, and they're actually way more advanced than we are in Canada, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
That really resonated with me is that, okay, how do I continue to bring out those diverse voices and link people to her who want to make a difference in that space too? Again, these technologies can be life-changing, but it's limiting a lot of people's access to it because of the inherent bias.
I'm just going to go into the next question. What are you looking forward to in 2025?
I would say the connections I'm going to build,
Mm-hmm.
and the rooms that I'm going to continue to get access to so that I can create space for others in that room as well. Right. So anytime opportunities come in, it's always gets me excited, not because I get to be there, but it's because who else can I bring with me along the journey?
Can I just put in a plug for you?
Yeah.
Angela is actually really good at this. Reach out, like she says it, she's sincere about it, to take action on it. So if you're curious, connect with Angela. She'll hook you up if she can. She certainly works at it. And I really admire that about you.
I appreciate you. And what are you looking forward to in 2025, especially as we slowly wrap up our conversation?
More of the same, I think. I just so many great conversations. And the longer I do this, just smarter and smarter people. And they're not any smarter than you or I, but they have really focused and honed skill and knowledge. And oftentimes they're quite articulate, and that really helps. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think in 2025, I might start doing demos of stuff, not reviews, because I don't feel qualified to do a review, but demos. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
I'm excited to continue to watch you evolve. Like I said, I sincerely mean it when I'm so inspired by you, because the amount of grit that it takes to develop 10 episodes, 50, 100, let alone 200, you're part of the 0.05, actually 0.01%. Yeah,
Is that it?
0.01%.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's actually 0.01%. I don't know. Sometimes I like numbers, but whatever it may be, like, you're part of the 0.01% with what you're doing, and you're actually one of the more well-known Canadians who are doing this as well. So props to you. Whoever hasn't checked it out, they're missing out because you're staying ahead of what's happening, right? So
yeah, I try. Okay, final question here. What is one thing you're looking forward to or that you're excited about, that if anybody out there, and this is such an Angela question, actually, if they want to partner with you, collaborate with you, what guidance can you provide?
if it's me specifically, I would say if you're a visible minority or an ally who is aligned with my mission of what does it take to unleash the potential of individuals and organizations, I would love to chat. And if there's any of my guests that you feel like would be a great individual to partner with you in whatever you're trying to achieve, please reach out. Happy to facilitate that introduction. And Andrea, how about yourself?
I would say, if you know of somebody out there who is both incredibly competent at their area of HR and articulate, it's a wonderful combination as a YouTube podcast host. So if you know of anybody like that, connect. And regardless, just connect. I think there's a lot of people watching the channel or listening that never connect, and it makes me a little bit sad.
I hear you. Stop lurking.
Yes. So that's it. And I think we decided that I was going to close this.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. So usually at the end of all my shows, I have a little takeaway. And my takeaway today is on perseverance. I'm a little further along the perseverance journey, maybe, at least in terms of YouTube, but I'm still thinking about that. Angela, what about you? What's one takeaway from this?
Lead with curiosity.
That came to mind quickly. There you go. All right. Well, that's it, folks. Thanks for watching or listening out there, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.